If you're thinking about solo camping for the first time, but something holds you back from actually getting out there, then this video is for you. In my experience, most women who want to try solo camping end up putting a pause on things at some point because they're not sure what to expect and their minds just fill in the gaps with all the crazy things. Personally, I think that's because there are some things that nobody really tells you before you start. And once you understand those things, then the whole idea tends to feel a whole lot less intimidating and a lot more exciting. If we haven't met before, I'm Bing from Wonder Bing Travel, and Lexi, the Golden, and I have been solo road tripping and camping for a bunch of years now. And here are 5 things that you should know before you start solo camping so you can persevere and stay excited for your first camping experience. So this was something that genuinely surprised me when I first started solo camping. I think that a lot of us imagine camping as a super loner experience, and in some ways you are definitely on your own. But there's a difference between being on your own and being isolated, and camping isn't the isolated experience people tend to imagine unless you purposely make it that way. It's more of a shared environment, and there's actually a very clear culture to camping. Let's talk about that. So I felt intimidated when I first began planning and then taking the first trip where I was going to camp on my own, because I was new to all of it and I really didn't know what I was doing. But what happened was that I ended up feeling surprisingly safe and in some ways even kind of protected. And that's because in most campgrounds there are other people around, but they're not too close. So you have your own space, but help is nearby if you need it. And I personally really love that balance. So for example, if you're trying to find a trail or you just have a quick question or you're not sure where something is, people around are generally aware, they're respectful, and they're usually super willing to help. So in some types of campgrounds like national parks and national forests, or at least many of them, and in state parks, there are campground hosts who are around to answer questions. And just generally, people tend to look out for each other in, I would say, just sort of quiet, low-key ways. At the same time, there's no pressure to socialize whatsoever. Everyone is just kind of living their own little life, just adjacent to one another. It's kind of like your neighborhood at home if you just took down all the walls and the roof, kind of like that. So we're living outside our houses instead of in, but the privacy somehow is still there. It's such a cool culture. One other thought about the built-in community that comes with camping is that campgrounds are routine-based environments. So for someone like me, that's a plus. And let me tell you what I mean. So there's often quiet hours, for example. So there aren't going to be any loud parties 200 feet from where you're set up. There's also times when showers tend to be more available. You just kind of get the hang of it. And then I find all that pretty comforting because there is a little bit of an established routine, but you can really do whatever you want. So I think this low-key community feeling is one of the best parts of camping because you get real independence, but you don't feel isolated, and you also know that support is nearby if you need it. So as a solo traveler, for me, that's a really perfect mix. And once you understand that camping environments work and act like this, then you begin to understand that camping can really mean so many different things. Let's talk about that. So before I started camping, I had a very limited understanding of what camping could actually look like. As a kid, I'd camped in national parks with my family, but not a lot. And that was really the only frame of reference that I had. Over time, I've learned that camping isn't just that one single experience. It's a whole spectrum of choices. Once you understand it, then it gets so much easier to find options that will actually fit how you want to camp. So for example, on one end of the spectrum, you have places like KOA campgrounds and other privately owned ones that can be a little bit like outdoor resorts. Lots of activity, close quarters, plenty going on, lots of kids. Some even have water slides, putt-putt courses. You see what I'm saying, right? Some people love that, but most solo campers I know, including me, tend to gravitate towards something quieter. At the other end of the spectrum, you have options like national forests, or even more isolated would be dispersed camping, where things are much more remote. In between, there is still a wide range. You have state parks, you have national parks, you have private campgrounds. You even have places like HipCamp. And each option is different in terms of atmosphere, in terms of cost, and then how close you might be to trails or sites or places that you might want to explore. So I think one of the hardest things when you're just starting out is not knowing that all these different options exist. I so wish that I had known this when I first began camping, because I had no idea. Once you understand the range, then it's much easier to narrow in on the places that feel comfortable to you. So, for example, my favorite way to camp is in a national forest. There's a host, it's kind of remote, there's always trails, it's very inexpensive, and if I'm in a state where national forests are common, like a lot of western states, then that's the first place I'm going to look for campgrounds and sites. I know I'm just skimming the surface here, so if you would like to know more about ways you can choose campsites and understand the differences between the different options, then I have a separate video called How I Find Amazing Campsites. I'll put it right here for you, and you can do the deep dive. But the big takeaway here is simply this: camping, it isn't just one thing, and you have far more choices than you probably realize when you're just starting out. For a lot of women, part of the hesitation isn't just the camping itself, it's the road trip that surrounds it, and then also safety in the campsite. So if that's part of what's holding you back, then I would love for you to check out this free, super simple safety guide that I have put together with you in mind, because it will help you think through things practically, and it will give you very specific steps that you can take that will not only keep you safe, but it will also help you build confidence in the process. So you can read more here, and you can grab it when you're ready. I'm here to help. So one message that I really want first-time solo campers to hear is that your first camping experience doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be extreme. I think a lot of people get stuck because their mental picture of camping feels overwhelming. Maybe it feels wet or cold or miserable or expensive, or just a little crazy, and they imagine needing all the gear, learning all the hacks, hearing all the tips, or they just imagine that you have to really rough it, and none of those things are actually required. Camping can be super simple. Hear me again. Camping can be super simple. You don't need to dive in head first. You don't need to own everything right away. You may not need to own everything at all ever. My first night of solo camping is a perfect example of that. I slept in my car on a yoga mat, didn't even have a sleeping bag. I just had a couple blankets. I had a tarp that I spread out over the rear of my tailgate when I opened up my tailgate in the morning. I'm not really sure why I did that or what I thought it was going to do, but there you have it. I brought some food, and that was about it. And you know what? I thought it was just about the greatest thing that I had ever done. It was so awesome. And fun fact, you don't have to be uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable, if that's what you're worried about. Because depending on where you stay, there are campgrounds that have really nice bathrooms, hot showers, electricity, water hookups, and even cabins or yurts or shelters where you don't even have to have an RV or a tent or whatever. So please just remember this. No matter which choices you make, you are still camping. You're not in a hotel. You're outside, you're close to trails, you're close to the places and things that you want to explore. You are having the camping experience. It doesn't have to look a certain way. There's no checklist that you have to complete that makes you, a real camper. Camping can look however you want it to look. You can do the cabin thing, you can sleep in a tent, you can rent an RV, you can sleep in your car, you can even get one of those rooftop tents, you can put a trailer behind your car. All of those things count as camping. And if the whole idea feels intimidating, then my biggest encouragement is this. Start with what feels most mentally and physically comfortable. Just choose the option that helps you actually get out there, because once you do, your perspective is going to change. You'll stop being consumed by all the things that bogged you down in the planning and the guessing and then in the worrying stage, and you will realize that you've just arrived in the midst of a whole new world packed with wonder. Okay, next I want to build on this idea of flexibility, but from a cost perspective, because camping costs are something that most people don't really understand before they start. I definitely didn't, and they can be all over the map. A lot of people assume that camping is super cheap, and it can be, but in reality, it depends on a few key factors. The biggest one is the type of campground that you choose. So, for example, national forests and many state parks tend to be on the more affordable side, while national park campgrounds, so like Yellowstone, for example, are often quite a bit more expensive. And then if you stay in an RV park that has lots of amenities, that can be pretty costly because they function more like outdoor resorts. Here's another factor, and that's location. So for example, staying within the boundaries of a very popular destination, like a national park, is usually more expensive than staying just outside it. But you're trading all the amenities and the closeness and proximity of being in the park for a much more remote experience, fewer amenities for sure. Everything is a trade-off, and you just have to decide what works for you. It's not that one's good and one's bad. It's like, which one is good for you? So the third factor is the type of site that you stay in. So within the campground, and not all campgrounds have all of these, obviously, but sites that have water, electricity, full hookups, they're always going to be more expensive than more basic sites, right? Just check it out. And I briefly mentioned this before, but there's also the option of dispersed camping, which is often free, but it's also the most remote thing that we've talked about. Dispersed camping usually means definitely more roughing it. Often there are not bathrooms, definitely not showers, and doubtful that you'd have water or electricity. One other option that I briefly mentioned earlier was HipCamp, where prices can range from very affordable, even free sometimes, to quite expensive, and it totally depends on the property and what's offered. So if you're not sure what HipCamp's all about, it's definitely worth checking into. I'll add a link to the video I did about HipCamp in the description, so if you'd like to know more about it, you can check it out. I've had some pretty great experiences with HipCamp, and it's actually just a good thing to have in your back pocket as an extra kind of fun thing. Having a bit of a working knowledge about the cost of camping will definitely help you, because once you know what kinds of places you're interested in, then it will become so much easier for you to get a realistic sense of what the camping costs will be for you. So this is probably the biggest thing that no one tells you before you start solo camping. Most of your unsettled feelings, you probably have some already, your anxiety and even your fears are not very realistic. That's good news, right? Honestly, they're not very realistic. Your fears come from things you just haven't experienced yet. Call it fear of the unknown, fear of not knowing what's really normal in a camping environment. Let me tell you a little bit more. So when you haven't spent time in camping environments and you're sitting at home and you're planning, everything just feels really unfamiliar. And it's a little bit like going to a new country for the first time, at least in your mind, right? Because you feel as though there's no familiar foundation. It just all feels a little uneven and unsettled. You don't know how things work. You don't speak the language. Everything is new, sounds, people, all the routines. Your mind just starts filling in the blanks, and those blanks tend to lean towards worst case scenarios. So what I want to tell you, and what I've found over time, is that camping itself is actually a very calm and very predictable experience. Campgrounds have rhythms. They have expectations. They have structure. They even have rules. Most people are there to relax. They're there to sleep, vacation, hike, sit in front of a crackling fire, and to mind their own business. Nighttime is usually quiet. Mornings are usually pretty slow. This doesn't mean that nothing can ever happen. I get that. But it does mean that a lot of the fear that people carry into their first solo camping trip is based on imagination, not experience. I hope you'll allow for the possibility of that. Once you understand how camping actually functions and what a campground really feels like and how you fit into it, more importantly, your fears are just going to retreat into like a much quieter and more manageable space in your own brain. And that's where you can breathe and you can just have fun. Freedom and wonder are just now yours for the taking, and that's what you're there for anyway. And honestly, a lot of what makes camping feel comfortable over time is just simplifying the little things. And for me, I have to tell you, that includes camping with a dog. Specifically, camping with Lexi the Golden. So this is a little dog tip, and I travel with Lexi, my golden retriever. There's something that I wish I would have known when we started our entire big adventure together. She is 7 years old now, so she has been traveling with me her whole entire life. Feeding her on the road, especially on longer trips and in campgrounds, was such a hassle. Like so many healthy dogs now, she doesn't eat kibble. She is on a raw diet, and I won't ever change that. So it was totally worth dragging the 30 plus pounds of raw food on the road. Complicated, but worth it. But then I discovered that our dog food brand, BJ's Raw, created a freeze-dried version of their food. Let the angels sing. So this has been a total game changer, mostly for me because for her it tastes exactly the same. But now we carry these lightweight bags and some chicken or bone broth. So she gets to eat the exact same food, and there's just so much less hassle and less weight, and it doesn't take up space and all of that. So if you would like to know more about improving your dog's health, first of all, and feeding them on the road, then I'll put the link for BJ's Raw down here below. You get 25% off your order, which is significant, and they ship all over the US, both freeze-dried and raw. My hope with this video is that it helped take some of the mystery out of solo camping for you. There isn't one right way to do it, and there isn't a version of camping that you have to do to earn your way into it. You don't need to have everything figured out, and you don't need to do it the right way. You just need a clearer picture for yourself of what's actually involved. And once you have that, then things just tend to feel so much more doable. If you want to keep learning, I'm going to link a few things here for you. One is a video that answers common solo camping questions, and the other one is just my entire camping playlist, so you can look at whatever is of interest to you. Don't forget to grab the road trip safety guide in the link below. Now go on and get out there. You can so do this. Lexi and I hope to see you on the road and in the campground.